there's tons of tools and strategies out there, but really the most effective thing is going to be changing your mind. When you change your mind, you change your life. You want to set an intention to love yourself, set an intention to love yourself. We're so hard on ourselves, but really at the end of the day, if you want to feel good about yourself, you wake up and you say things you love about yourself and you set that intention, and that's when your life will radically change.
Welcome to yourbrilliance.com. I'm your host, Amy Waterman. If you could pinpoint the one reason that your life isn't quite what you hoped it would be, why you don't have the love you want or the happiness you want or the career you want, what are the chances that you would say a large part of it comes down to the way you look? If you look different, life would be so much easier. Now, I know I thought that way when I was younger. I blamed everything on my body. If only I had clear skin, if only I didn't wear glasses, if only my hair was better and I was skinnier, then all of my problems would be solved. But instead, there I was, stuck with this body that I didn't like. Our guest for today, Kimberly Hill, knows exactly how that feels. It took her years to learn to love her body, and the way she got there was not through diet or exercise. It was through self-acceptance. Today, Kimberly is an international love coach who helps high-achieving women overcome self-doubt so they can achieve the healthy relationships and thriving careers of their dreams. She's the creator of the Business Academy for Women and the Self-Confidence Project, which we'll be talking about today. Welcome, Kimberly.
Hello, thank you for that. What a lovely intro.
Well, I want to take you now back to your teenage years. Back then, did you have any idea that you would end up being a confidence coach?
No, I did not. Wow. This realization of taking this career path only really happened in the last couple of years for me. But when I was younger, no, I didn't even know that something like this existed. So definitely not.
So I know you actually struggled quite a lot as a teen with body issues. Like it wasn't easy for you either.
No, definitely not. I think really the first realization I had about like looks and understanding this whole like cycle I went into of external validation was because of reading Cosmopolitan magazine, right? It was like flipping through the glossy pages of what society pinpoints as the ideal looking woman. And I started to fall into that trap of real negative comparison. Because when I was about 13, my mom ended up taking me to go get a haircut. And you can see I have quite long hair, but I ended up with this Meg Ryan haircut when I was about 13 years old, which I still had, that baby fat on me. And I just fell into like a full-on depression because I thought I looked like a boy. I didn't look like any of the pictures in the magazine. And I started to really hate on myself because that was me, and that was what I thought the world wanted me to be, and there was a huge gap, and that was probably the biggest realization I had, that I wasn't what I should be.
So I remember finding an old diary that I'd written sometime during my teen years, and I don't remember when it was, and it had my goals for the summer. And my top 3 goals were lose 10 pounds, get contacts, and grow my hair long. And I genuinely thought that if I showed up at school in the fall with those 3 things accomplished, I would be popular. And what I didn't realize was no matter how I changed my looks, I was still me inside.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, I think so many women feel they need to fix themselves externally in order to be accepted. And really at the end of the day, it's like transformation and self-love happens internally. And then you project this radiance, you project this confidence, you project this beauty. It's like we are doing it in the wrong way. And look, if women want to go and fix themselves and knit, tuck, pick, whatever, inject, sure, go do it. It's your body, it's your choice. No one's going to stop you. But the thing is that when you do that, it's a temporary fix, right? It doesn't matter how much you externally change yourself. If you don't love yourself for who you are, or accept yourself for who you are internally, it'll be a never ending road for you.
So that is one of the hardest things, I think, for us to realize, because conceptually, I can understand what you're saying, but I still, in that 16-year-old part of me, believe that if you are naturally beautiful, then you're naturally confident, and that no matter what I do, my confidence levels are always going to be tied to what I see in the mirror and whether I like it. How can we break that habit of looking in the mirror to decide how we should feel about ourselves?
Well, firstly, I'd like to challenge what you said there, because I think that's a real self-limiting belief that because someone is naturally beautiful, they're naturally confident. If you actually look at some of the most society has based some of the most beautiful women in the world are actually really struggling and they're really insecure. And so confidence and self-love is actually a skill that we need to develop. It is not something that we were born with. One person is not born confident versus one other person. It's something that we have to work on and develop. And there's a real misconception that just because someone is beautiful by industry standards, that their life is also happy and that they love themselves. That's not actually true in a lot of circumstances. So that belief that we have is actually part of the reason that's damaging our confidence levels.
So tell us about these skills then. Okay, so I want to feel more confident and I don't want to do it through wearing more makeup or getting a haircut or getting new clothes. How can I start building a confidence that's independent from my looks?
Yeah, well, it starts with doing some internal self work, right? So maybe for somebody, it's going to look like hiring a coach to help them through. Maybe for someone, it's going to look like a self care routine where they're doing some really positive affirmations. Maybe somebody is just going to set an intention and wake up the next day and feel better about themselves. There are lots of different strategies we can take. Certainly for me, one of the ways that I was able to learn to accept myself for who I am was taking pen to paper. For me, journaling and having some really healthy journal prompts and writing down how I felt and getting those emotions out on paper and then actually crumbling them up and throwing them away was very therapeutic for me. It made me feel like I was okay to express some of that hate or frustration or misunderstanding I had about myself. And I was able to get it out of my body and put it on paper and get rid of it. So there are a lot of different strategies. Obviously, meditation is another strategy in which people can use where they learn to just clear their mind and reframe those thoughts that they have about themselves. And it doesn't matter. There's different strategies for everyone. There's actually also positive affirmations, right? So it's every time we say something out loud, we're speaking an affirmation of our truth. And so we need to get a little bit more comfortable saying positive things about ourselves. As women, we go to the negative right away. Oh, I don't look good, or this isn't good, or I am sagging here, or whatever. We're nitpicking. When are we actually saying things positively about ourselves? And so I recently came across this app. It's a free app called Think Up, and it allows women or men or whoever to record their own voice saying positive affirmations, and they put it over this beautiful meditation music. And it reminds you in the morning and the night to speak those affirmations of truth and start to reprogram our subconscious mind to actually believe those things about ourselves. So there's a whole host of different things that we can do. But certainly for me, it was journaling. And also recently is a lot of those positive affirmation statements.
So I want to talk to you about your tattoo.
That's right.
Tell me about why you got that.
Oh, so for those of you watching, I have a tattoo on me that says self-acceptance. And when I was in my teenage years is when I was struggling with my lowest levels of insecurity. And actually, I think statistically as well, that's when women and men face their lowest levels of confidence is in those teenage years. And I struggled. I had bulimia. I struggled from perfectionism. I had negative comparison to other people. I didn't like my body. I was really mistreating my body. And I sat down one afternoon with my mom and she popped in a DVD. Yes, it was a DVD back then, The Secret. And we watched the movie, The Secret. And there was just something really transformative that occurred in my mind after watching that. And I realized the law of attraction, that all the energy and all these negative thoughts that I was putting out in the world that I had about myself was coming back to me. It was manifesting in my life, that depression and that self that like low self-worth that I was having. So after watching that, something really clicked for me. And sometimes you need to hear it through a DVD. Sometimes you need to hear it through an interview. Sometimes you need to read it. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just that certain point where you pick up that knowledge and it really resonates with you. And for me, it was after that. And I started to journal and write out and express all these things I felt about myself and really reframe these negative thoughts I was having. And I just woke up one day and was like, I'm doing this. So I got in my car and I drove to like the dodgiest tattoo place in Surrey here in British Columbia. And I gave him a fake ID actually and said that I was old enough to get a tattoo and told them to tattoo self-acceptance on me, because that was going to be my reminder every day when I woke up and got dressed and I was stark nude, that I would see that tattoo and it would remind me to love me for who I am. And that was the beginning of my transformation, was just that small little reminder for me that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It matters what I think about myself. And as soon as I changed that thought, I started to project that confidence, and all these wonderful opportunities started to happen in my life. And I really came into my own. So, yeah.
So what I'm hearing there is that it all starts with setting that intention, because I think sometimes we have got into such a habit of hating our bodies. I know for so many years, it was so easy to blame my body because my body was always there. And I got into a habit, right? I am not popular at school. It's my body. You know, I don't like the way I look in pictures. Of course, it's my body. So we have to actually make a decision, don't we, at some point, to give up that and choose self-acceptance. And sometimes I think that's a little harder than it sounds.
It is, but we tend to overcomplicate things, right? Because you asked me earlier, you know, what are the tools and strategies? And there's tons of tools and strategies out there, but really the most effective thing is going to be changing your mind. When you change your mind, you change your life. You want to set an intention to love yourself, set an intention to love yourself. Actually follow your own advice. Stop nitpicking at yourself. And you know what? It is easy if you allow it to be easy. If you give yourself permission to love yourself, that will occur in your life, right? It's oh man, we're so hard on ourselves. But really at the end of the day, if you want to feel good about yourself, you wake up and you say things you love about yourself and you set that intention, and that's when your life will radically change. It's that easy.
So talk to us about the Self-Confidence Project.
Yeah, so that's the name I chose for my business because it is a project, right? It's self-confidence is something that we, like I said, that we are developing our entire lives. And so I thought that was a really fitting name for my business. And what I do is I help those high achieving women overcome the self-doubt they have about themselves, about their bodies, so that they can lead the most fulfilling lives. They can have better relationships, better health, better career success, all of those things that start to transpire in our lives when we start to believe in ourselves and believe that we're beautiful and believe that we're capable. So the Self-Confidence Project is the name of my business, and I love it. It really resonates with me.
So talk to us then about the work you do. So you decided to become a coach. What is the process of working with you like?
Yeah, good question. So typically I work on an individual basis with women because we all have very different paths and very different goals and visions that we want to set for ourselves. So I typically work with women for a period of 3 months. And that includes about 10 sessions over the 3 months. Because as we know, we need that consistency, we need that accountability, we need a little bit of that cheerleading in our life sometimes. So I sit down with women in the first session and we really break it all down. We really talk about where the state that we want to get to, what we want to achieve in those 3 months, what's actually going to become possible. And then I sit with women on pretty much a weekly basis, like we're doing right now. We're having this wonderful dialogue, and I help women overcome those self-limiting beliefs. I help them learn to develop the skills that they're already good at. I teach them to focus on the things that they're already amazing at. And we work on obviously that self-care and self-love process as well. So yeah.
So what is the transformation like? Is there any client or any example that you could give us of somebody who came to you and was really struggling, and then how their life shifted after those 3 months?
Yeah, absolutely. I always think of this one client that I dealt with, and because with the self-confidence project, yes, one of the areas I focus on is obviously women loving themselves and their bodies, but also loving themselves and their capabilities and their intelligence and what they're able to accomplish in life. So it's the self-doubt is a pretty big burning ball, right? And so for this particular woman that I dealt with, she had a lot of self-limiting beliefs around what she's capable of doing in business, the impact she was able to have on the world, and what other people were thinking about her. And so in the 3 months that we worked together, we were able to really transform a lot of those thoughts and really get her started on a strategy to build a business that she loves. And as a result, she ended up actually leaving her corporate job to focus full time on her passion. And that was in a matter of 3 months of working together. So she developed a lot of self-love and self-belief and self-compassion by just having that other person there to support and push and challenge along the way.
So what I'm hearing then is that really it isn't our looks that's holding us back from love. It isn't our looks that's holding us back from achieving the position in our career that we want to be. It's actually our level of self-acceptance, because if we believe that we are worthy, then we attract those things to us. Am I right?
Exactly. It's as soon as it's our thoughts are controlling everything. If we think that we're ugly or we think that we're not worthy, well, that's the message we're telling ourselves. So if we start to tell ourselves more positive truths that we are capable and we can do these things, and we actually look at our past and all the times we've proved and demonstrated that we have done those things and knocked down doors and taken names and got promotions and traveled the world, and we actually focus on our successes, and it's like the proof is in the pudding there. We actually have got to where we are now quite successfully, and we forget to actually celebrate all the wins we've had along the way. It's so simple. We think of all the things we've done wrong and we focus on that and attract more of that into our lives. But if women took a pen to paper and wrote down all the things that they've accomplished and all the compliments they've had in their lives, then we would all be sitting here like laughing because we all achieve way more than we give ourselves credit for.
For those of you watching, are you ready to be part of the Self-Confidence Project? Are you ready to work with Kimberly and see what you're capable of? If so, we've got a link for you. Just go to yourbrilliance.org/Kimberly. That's yourbrilliance.org/KIMBERLY. Kimberly, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And I wondered if you had any last message you would like to leave our viewers with.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And really, I think one of the messages I really love to share with people is honestly, self-belief is the beginning of any transformation. So you work on that piece, watch your life transpire in amazing ways.
Thank you so much. And thank you out there for watching. Now, did you have any aha moments or insights while watching this interview? If so, let us know in the comments. And for more interviews like these, subscribe to Your Brilliance TV here on YouTube, and then hop on over to yourbrilliance.com for more tips and insights on how you can live your most brilliant life. See you next time.